Why did Max Verstappen deliberately handicap himself with 130 less horsepower and 150 kilograms of extra weight just to race at the Nürburgring? What permit crisis almost derailed his entire debut weekend? And how did a last-second technical failure nearly destroy months of preparation, only to be saved by a single outlap that changed everything? The answers to these questions reveal a side of Verstappen we rarely see, and the lengths he'll go to master racing's most dangerous circuit. This wasn't just another weekend for the four-time world champion. According to race documentation from the ADAC NLS event, Verstappen faced a challenge unlike any he's encountered in Formula One, starting from absolute scratch on the green hell. Before he could even think about racing, Verstappen had to pass a mandatory exam on Friday. Not a gentleman's agreement or a ceremonial handshake. A real exam with both written and practical components. The driving test required him to complete 2 laps behind a certified instructor, then 2 more laps with the instructor watching his every move from behind. Here's where it gets interesting. The car Verstappen would be racing wasn't just any Porsche Cayman GT4 CS. Due to his B permit status, his machine was deliberately neutered. The standard 425 horsepower at 1,315 kilograms was slashed down to just 300 horsepower at 1,350 kilograms to meet the Cup 3 class requirements of 4.2 kilograms per horsepower. Think about that for a moment. The man who dominates Formula One voluntarily chose to race with a 130 horsepower deficit and an extra 150 kilograms of weight. Why would he do this to himself? But here's what makes this story even more compelling. Verstappen's qualifying performance revealed something that shocked even the seasoned Nürburgring veterans. And what happened during the race exposed a problem that could have ended his weekend before it really began. Saturday morning brought wet and damp conditions to the Nordschleife, exactly the kind of challenge that separates the pretenders from the champions. Qualifying began at 8 a.m., and Verstappen had just 4 laps to prove himself. Now, that might not sound impressive until you understand the context. Remember, he's driving a significantly handicapped car in treacherous conditions on a track he's never raced before. Yet he managed to clock the fastest time among all Cup 3 guest drivers and finish 6th in his entire class, 27th overall out of 112 cars. The racing world took notice. According to event reports, an estimated 50,000 spectators showed up to watch Verstappen's debut. So many that organizers had to open 2 additional grandstands just to accommodate the crowds. But qualifying was just the appetizer. The main course, a 4-hour endurance race, would test everything Verstappen thought he knew about racecraft. What happened at the race start exposed the brutal reality of Verstappen's handicapped Porsche. But it was a pit stop 2 hours and 50 minutes into the race that revealed the real drama brewing behind the scenes. The start of the 4-hour Grand Prix painted a stark picture. Verstappen, starting in the second group in his number 980 Porsche, was immediately blown past by the competition. The downgraded power and extra weight weren't just numbers on paper. They were glaringly obvious as faster cars streamed past him. But this is Max Verstappen we're talking about. Even with a handicapped car, he fought with everything around him, making the most of what he had. Once he settled into his rhythm, something interesting happened. He found himself mostly alone on track, running significantly faster than the other Cup 3 guest drivers. Then, with 2 hours and 50 minutes remaining, drama struck. Verstappen pitted for what appeared to be a brake issue. The car was up on jacks for several minutes, an eternity in endurance racing. Those few minutes in the pit lane could have been race-ending, but Verstappen returned to action, determined to complete his mission. His stint lasted 14 laps with a best lap time of 9:01.41 and an average of 9:34.12. At the time, he handed the car over to teammate Chris Lulholm. He was running 8th in class and 28th overall. But here's where the weekend almost fell apart completely. The second car Verstappen was supposed to drive, the one crucial to obtaining his A permit, had technical issues that kept it off track for nearly the entire race. Without those laps, months of preparation would be worthless. To obtain his A permit license, the golden ticket that would allow him to race GT3 cars at the Nürburgring, Verstappen needed to complete 14 penalty-free laps in 2 different cars. He'd done his part in the Porsche Cayman, but the second requirement seemed impossible. The number 89 Lionspeed GP car that was supposed to provide those crucial laps sat silent in the garage, plagued by technical problems. As the 4-hour race wound down, it looked like Verstappen's permit quest would end in failure. Then, in the final moments of the event, something remarkable happened. Live timing showed the number 89 car finally made it onto the track for an outlap. Just one lap. But that single lap was enough for the car to be classified with Verstappen's name attached. With his A permit secured, Verstappen can now race GT3 cars at the Nürburgring. Reports suggest he'll likely enter a GT3 event at the end of the month with Emil Frey Racing, this time in a car that won't be deliberately handicapped. What made this debut so significant wasn't just Verstappen's speed, though a 10:21 qualifying time in those conditions was genuinely impressive. It was his commitment to the process, his willingness to start at the bottom and earn his way up through the ranks. The F1 champion impressed not just with raw pace, but with his dedication to understanding one of motorsport's most challenging environments. The 50,000 spectators who showed up weren't just watching another celebrity appearance. They were witnessing a masterclass in professional preparation. Now, with his A permit in hand, Verstappen's next Nürburgring outing promises to be far more competitive. No more handicapped engines, no more extra weight, no more artificial limitations. The question isn't whether Verstappen will be fast in a proper GT3 car. It's how the established Nürburgring specialists will respond when the 4-time world champion arrives with unrestricted machinery. What do you think about Verstappen's approach to conquering the green hell? Will he dominate GT3 racing the same way he's dominated Formula 1? Let me know in the comments below, and make sure you're subscribed because his next Nürburgring adventure is going to be unmissable.